Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
And I'm Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is at N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are revealing our top 15 quarterbacks for redraft rankings for 2025. So we will be going through those side by side. But first, there is a flurry of news that has come out. Jeff, what's the first one on the list here? Maybe one of your favorite guys coming back?
I saved the first for best and or the best for first. Giants tight end Darren Waller comes out of retirement and is subsequently traded to the Miami Dolphins to replace Jonnu Smith, who we covered last episode, was traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Alex, where do you think this leaves Darren Waller for the 2025 season? Is he a top 5, top 7 tight end going into this year?
No, he is not anywhere close to that. I would say he is a dart throw at the end of your draft, and that's it.
Interestingly enough, I have him at tight end 15, so he bumped Theo Johnson out of my top 15, which we covered 2 episodes ago. So a little update based on new information. But again, as Alex has said, he's probably the second tight end that people grab of a 2 tight end committee on your team. So I think he's worth the draft at the end.
Let's not forget that he doesn't want to block anymore. That's why he retired, and he's been poorly wrapping over the past year. So we'll see if he's even in football shape to begin with. And I don't really trust Miami's offense. I don't really trust that team at all. Jonnu Smith is the only one that's really blown up under McDaniel. So not guaranteed
So
to work out.
what's he been rapping? Presents?
Terrible music.
Ah,
Terrible music, which is why he has to come back and pay his bills again.
he's got a net worth of north of $10 million. So I don't think he's hurting for cash these
Net
days.
worth is not liquid cash.
Right.
That's a guesstimate, but I'm pretty sure he spent all of it.
Okay. All right. So another guy that's going to take a little bit of time here to spend all of his new money is the Jets, extending wide receiver Garrett Wilson with a 4-year deal, and big money deal here for Garrett Wilson. They also signed Sauce Gardner to a big money deal as well, highest paid corner in the league now. So they brought back 2 of their guys for the next 4 seasons.
2 pillars for sure. I really like Garrett Wilson, and he's performed well despite having terrible quarterbacks to throw him the ball, terrible offensive coordinators, bad head coaches. So doing what he's done over his first 3 seasons is pretty incredible. I think he averaged a lot of wide receiver stats, about wide receiver 7 for several of them, for real NFL wide receiver stats. With his college quarterback, maybe it'll be better. And then if they ever get long-term fixture there, then I think sky's the limit for him, and I think we'd be considering him in the first round in the future if that's the case.
Absolutely. But Alex, little less happy news. The 49ers wide receiver John Jennings would like the same treatment that Garrett Wilson just got and wants a new deal. And if he doesn't get one, he would like to be traded. What are your thoughts there? I know he's one of your guys, your flag players.
The 49ers wide receiver core is my flag plant in general. On Jennings, I'm not as high on him as a lot of people in the fantasy community are. I feel like he maxes out as a wide receiver three on his own team, and he just performs well when other people are absent. So he's a good fill-in. I don't think he's a top two starter at the position in the NFL. I don't think he's going to get that much money, but we've seen guys like Gabriel Davis get 13 million per year. Surely Juwan Jennings is worth at least that, and I think he's better than him. I think he's better than Hollins. I think he's better than a lot of guys out there who got some change over the past couple seasons. So more than 7 million is probably in order, but I don't know exactly how much he's asking for.
Yeah, we will see. But this is not ideal entering camp. And Terry McLaurin, one of your favorites, is kind of in a similar situation. Not the same because obviously McLaurin's already been paid once, but very similar that they're at least putting out feelers to lay the groundwork for a hold in or hold out. So and that makes you nervous right around this time of year. So
Well, Juwan Jennings, with if he holds out, they still have Christian McCaffrey who had experimental surgery or treatment in Germany, which just means stem cells, so he should be pretty much recovered. They have Brandon Ayuk who might miss a couple weeks of the year, but will probably be healthy for most of the season. They have Ricky Pearsall, who was on a tear last year, and they have George Kittle. So I think they'll be fine with that if Jennings holds out. Now, the Commanders, without Terry McLaurin, I think they'll be in trouble. Um, I think that Jaden Daniels' stats will come down for fantasy if that's the case. And I think McLaren, if he holds out, is going to have a bad season. Almost every wide receiver that holds out has a poor season or gets hurt when they come back. So, case in point, Brandon Ayuk last year. So I'm concerned
could
about
be
that.
Jennings this year.
Yeah. I'm not, like I said, I'm not big on Jennings to begin with. So why have zero shares of him?
Was he not on your sleeper list though?
That was mostly Brandon Ayuk and Pearsall, but I'll
Okay.
throw Jennings in there as a third or fourth guy in that offense. But if he holds out, I'm not going to be bullish on him like I am on the other guys who will actually be there.
Yeah, I hope that he reports to camp and plays because he's on my bust list, and I don't want to be right because of a contract issue. Like
I
that
mean, still
doesn't.
right.
Yeah, he was my number seventh bust, so
Right is right, Jeff.
I don't want to be right like that. John was on there, but that was before the trade, also. Interesting. And a guy that I traded to you in a league this week, TJ Hawkinson, is on my bust list.
I strongly disagree with you on that. We're polar opposites on Hawkinson.
Omarion Hampton is on my bust list, and I might already be changing my mind on that due to some news that's coming up very shortly. But first, let me go over a quick couple hits of cuts here. The Titans cut just recently signed running back Ty Davis Price, and the Chiefs cut former preseason darling wide receiver Justin Ross. I know there's a few people in our dynasty leagues that went pretty big on the years and the dollar amount for Justin Ross, but he never panned out to be what people thought he was coming out of college. Anything on either of these two guys before we move on to some camp news?
I was never in on either one of them in Dynasty or Fantasy at all, so it doesn't really make that much of a difference to me. We can move on to the Chiefs' teammate here, Rashee Rice, out of nowhere, had his criminal case settled before his civil case, and he gets 30 days in jail and 5 years on probation, which is a long time to behave perfectly. Now, granted, that's probably isolated to just Dallas, so just stay out of Dallas unless you're playing the Cowboys. And that means he is now open to a possible suspension. which I think we both agree it's probably 4 games. And Jeff, you can, yeah, okay, nod, good job. Because if you
No, yeah, I
disagree,
know people
feel
can't
free
see
to
me
say.
unless I'm talking, but yeah, I'm
Alright,
right there
so
with you.
luckily, I don't think anybody died in the scenario, but he left the scene and caused
It
an
wasn't
accident.
pretty.
So yeah, it wasn't a great situation, and unfortunately, Jeff, he's actually a felon now. So he pled to 2 felonies. So he's technically a felon now.
So I do have a question about that. Does that mean he can't go overseas if they have games overseas because there is some sort of thing where felons can't leave the country? So that's something to we might have to look into.
Might be able to get special permission, but yeah, that's very interesting.
Absolutely. But speaking of other court cases that have been decided during this time period here, we also have the Vikings wide receiver, Jordan Addison. His court case is complete for DUI. He pled down in the matter. So he'll get still suspended for multiple games in the 2025 season for the DUI. So just
I
because
think
he pled down doesn't mean.
the precedence is a minimum of 3 games, I think.
And that's what I anticipate. Three is what is in my projections right now.
He's very lucky he didn't hurt anybody or kill anybody.
Wasn't he found just sitting behind his wheel though, with the car on? Wasn't
There's two di-
that weird?
there's 2 different incidents. One, he was speeding and told the officer he was rushing his dog to the vet because his dog was in bad shape. And that turned out to be a lie. And then there's another one. Maybe it was him that was sleeping, but I thought he got caught speeding twice.
Perhaps we will take a look to see if you're thinking of Shador Sanders or Jordan Addison
Bro,
here.
Shador Sanders definitely got caught speeding twice. And the second time he was going faster than the first time, which makes no sense to me, which means he doesn't care about anything.
So I've never seen you perk up as much as you did when I said that statement right there with some follow up statements. All right, so on to some camp news, or I want to save the last bit of law news for last because I think we're gonna have some very spirited discussions here on that one. But Chargers have 2 bits of news, and Alex, the first one of our favorites, wide receiver Mike Williams, it was initially placed on the pup list, but on Thursday, Mike Williams retired from the NFL at the age of 30. So before camp even starts, he's like, nah, I don't want to be put through all this camp stuff, and I'm done. So he's
And
officially calling it a career.
I am wondering, what's going on with him because he's one who struggled with his health his entire career. Even his rookie year, he was already hurt by the time he was drafted. Struggled through injuries. He had a lot of talent. I mean, he very similar to like a Jameson Williams, but Jameson Williams looks like he's going to stay healthier than Mike Williams did. It's a shame that it's come to this point, but part of me wonders if he knew he was going to retire and went to the Chargers to be able to retire with them, since that's how his career started.
Well, that seems very poetic, and I hope that was the case. Um, but his teammate, um, Najee Harris, has other situation going on here with fireworks, which that's the one thing that I worry about on the 4th of July is people with money and even people without money. Do you have all your limbs intact? In this case, Najee Harris does have all of his limbs intact, but he did have a firework accident that left him with an eye injury where he is having to seek external treatment for it. The Chargers don't believe he'll be out long, but it got got me to the point where I took 100 yards off of Najee, which takes him under 1,000 yards for the year, and gave it to Marion Hampton, which is what I was just alluding to a little while ago. With he may not be the bust that I thought he was now.
Ooh, well, there's a lot to unpack here because we don't know the extent of the actual injury. Like, we don't know any details about the injury other than they're telling us it's superficial. So, is it a scratch over the eye? Did his eye actually get scratched and it's waiting to heal? What is the actual injury in this case? And I don't understand why no one learned from Jason Pierre-Paul getting his fingers blown off, but or if it was somebody else who pointed it in his direction, then it's not his fault at all. But I don't really expect it to mess with him too much. I love Amari Hampton. I think he's the better long-term running back for the Chargers. They drafted him in the first round. He's huge. He's talented. Um, but Harris was also a first-round pick, and Harris is one of the most durable guys in the entire NFL. I think he also fits this offense. So year one, I expect a committee approach. But if you're looking at dynasty outlook, Omarion Hampton is way better for the dynasty outlook.
No, I completely agree with that. However, there was a player this week that has completely ruined his dynasty appeal, in my opinion. And he was arrested after a July 7th dispute with his girlfriend, which she accuses him of assaulting her. And yeah, it doesn't look good for Browns rookie running back Quinshawn Judkins. But Alex, you have a different take on this.
No, I don't know if it's super different, but the assault happened on vacation in Florida through their rental Lamborghini. Apparently, he accused her of cheating because people were sending him text messages, and she says that he struck her in the mouth and then later in the shoulder and the eye, I think. Uh, we have just her side. It doesn't look good at all, but we only have her side. We haven't heard any defense from him at all. So I don't know whether that is he has no defense and he's guilty, or he has a good lawyer that tells him to shut up. If
He's
if
left
this
us
is
guessing.
if this is exactly what the story is, if her side is 100% the accurate side, this looks horrible for him and his career outlook. He's athletically, he is a player I really like. I like his talent. I liked his profile as a running back in the league. But if he is assaulting people, especially someone he's dating and domestic violence, then he is a heavy risk until we know more information. So I can't justify taking him very early at all. He's someone that I view as so he could have had a Nick Chubb like career, and maybe that gets completely derailed, or maybe he gets a slap on the wrist, or maybe he misses half the season and then is okay for the following season. Right now, we're in flux. So I would definitely lower him on all of your rankings. He's worth a gamble in rookie drafts, maybe mid to late second round or maybe third round. I don't know how far he goes in leagues that you're in, but right now it's a risk. It's high risk, high reward. Probably you have to be okay with if he completely busts out and doesn't do anything because he's arrested and out of the league. You have to consider that.
Absolutely, and I'm okay with missing out on that. And my conscience feels a little bit better not not having him on the team right now.
Yeah. If you're a fantasy player that you just like to draft players to that you like to root for, that you personally like, or
Don't pick him.
whatever, don't take them. Don't take them. If
And
if you have a solid team already and you need to look for the future for somebody that could pay off later down the road, then maybe he's someone that you would consider in that scenario. But if you're desperate, don't take him. If you're solid and you need upside, then you consider him. But until then, if you're drafting later, wait as long as you can to get more information. Maybe he'll have a defense that will actually clear him or lessen it. Right now, he's crickets, and we've heard nothing from him. It's been days, which, as Jeff points out, to me a lot, it looks like he's guilty because he's not saying anything. So
Yeah,
you have to consider all of this information when drafting him. To me, it's a shame when any of these young athletes with a lot of talent throw their careers away for stupid, impulsive things. And I hope this is something he can redeem himself for or from.
we will see. We will see. And I'm not. I, I don't have like I don't need people to be have their nose completely clean. I have no problem picking Rasheed Rice or Jordan Addison this year. So don't get me wrong on that, but this is a situation where the accusation is that he allegedly hit her multiple times in multiple locations. And she changed seats in the car to try to avoid being hit, and he continued to do it. So I don't get it. The other aspect of this is the Browns haven't signed him yet. They're now in no rush to sign him because once he is signed, he is very likely going on the commissioner exempt list. And basically, what that means is that the Browns will have to pay him to not play. So if they don't sign him, there's no pay. So I don't believe that Judkins should be rewarded in a situation like this right now.
Well, what this situation did do, for a positive note, is it broke the chain on everyone waiting to get fully guaranteed contracts in the second round because he was drafted high enough that everybody knew he's not going to get a lot of guaranteed money, if any at all, if he does sign. So now everyone's finally signing. A lot of second round picks were signed today. So at least that part is moving. So there's a silver lining in there somewhere.
It's funny you mentioned that because I saw maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago that the Seahawks have given in and they're signing the 35th overall pick, so the third pick in the second round, to a fully guaranteed 4 year, $11 million deal. So he was really close to that pick, so he had a good shot at getting that.
Yeah, if he didn't
So
beat a very small woman.
yeah. So, and it says right here, this means the first three picks of the second round have gotten fully guaranteed contracts, which has never happened before in NFL history. Was he the fifth pick? What pick number was he
He
in this
he
second
was
round?
he was very high in the second round.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't worry about it. The specific pick number is not important, but he had a shot for some serious guaranteed money. But I think we are ready for our quarterback rankings. And
He was 36, so he's the next pick after that.
so he had a good
He,
shot.
yep, he ended the streak. There's no way 37 gets fully guaranteed.
Shot himself in the leg and allegedly hit his girlfriend in the leg. Anyways, all right. So our top 25 or our 2025 top 15 quarterback rankings. And since there's an odd number and we've decided that I'm the odd ball of the relationship, I will go ahead and get this kicked off. And at number 15, Alex, I don't know if this is going to be a surprise to you or a shock, but it's the number 5 quarterback the last 4 weeks last year and the number 9 quarterback overall, and that is Sam Darnold.
Well, what it is, man, with you and Sam Darnold, you love him so much,
Can't quit him.
so much. Is it because you guys look vaguely alike, vaguely, even though he
I
looks
got
more like a Lego man than you?
I got some red in my beard, some grays too now, but don't tell anybody.
No, I if he was with Minnesota, I would have an easier time agreeing with you potentially on that. We don't know what it's going to be like with Seattle, and he doesn't have Justin Jefferson to throw to, so I don't think I can get on board with that.
What can you get on board with at number 15?
At number 15 for me, I'm seeing a little bit of regression for a particular player, and that is Baker Mayfield.
Whoa.
So he is going to be missing his left tackle for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season, maybe longer. He's got his top two wide receivers are aging, get a little bit older, and statistically, players that perform at the level that he did last year always regress, almost always. And he's changed offensive coordinators 2 times in 2 years. So, well, maybe 3 times in 3 years. But anyway, I just I just can't see it continue to be effective with all the turnover. So I still see him as a borderline starter. Don't get me wrong. 15. To me, especially in single quarterback leagues, there's not much difference outside the top five, six, seven guys to maybe quarterback like 18. So there's not much difference there, in my opinion. So 15 to me is still startable as a quarterback one potentially, especially if somebody takes two quarterbacks relatively early.
I just find it interesting that you put a quarterback there that has all these brand new toys, and yep.
Well, he'll be going against the statistical grain if he's as good as he was last year, especially with his best offensive lineman going to be out for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that aspect of it. I just he's not a guy that plays in complete structure, so I'm not as worried about that as I normally would be. All right, who's your 14?
So, my number 14 is CJ Stroud.
Hmm.
So I still like CJ. I mean, there's a lot of flux with the offensive line. I think as a unit, they'll play better than last year, but they certainly don't have any star power this year. They have so many weapons. I feel like they'll spread out the field and make it hard for anyone to blitz because they'll have a lot of outlets to throw to. But I don't know what the upside is for him. He can run a little bit, but I don't know what the offense is going to look like this year. So it's hard for me to really trust him inside the top 10-ish that I would normally would. If we were looking at dynasty value, I'd probably have him higher than this, but we're looking at redraft. Maybe we'll see what the year is like under new offensive coordinator Nick Caley. All right. I hope it's an improvement. I think it'll be an improvement. He's a better offensive line oriented coach, better detail oriented coach, more positive. I think he's better than Bobby Slowick, who he replaced. So we'll see how it goes, but I still would expect him to draft offensive line early next year and next draft. Jeff, what do you think about
Hmm.
CJ Stroud here, and who do you have at 14?
So I don't hate it. He's my 18th quarterback, so he won't appear on this list for me for fantasy purposes, which is quite a big drop off from last season's ranking, but that's okay. Um, Quarterbacks in this range are typically all about the same. Um, from quarterback, let's say quarterback 24, who I have at 263 points, all the way through quarterback. We'll go all the way up to 11. That's 309 points. So it's like 40 points difference between uh, like a 13 spot difference. It's not crazy right now where you would take quarterbacks in this range. And I think offline you had confirmed that when you said that after six you kind of have a bunch grouped together. So all right. We'll go to my number 14 now, and it is Jordan Love. And he finished 17 last year, even though he missed like three games, I think, last year when Malik Willis took over. So, what's your thoughts on Jordan Love this year?
He's outside my top 15.
Oh, throwing some shade.
Yeah, I don't really like him that much as a quarterback. I think he got paid too much too soon, and I don't know. I think that he has a decent amount of options to throw to. He's got a pretty solid head coach, but I think the defenses for that division got tougher. I still think he's startable in a lot of leagues. Like if you wait and take him later in drafts. I think he's a reasonable option for a low end quarterback one. I just don't particularly care for him. The
Hmm.
offense is too spread out, and I don't think he's going to get a lot of touchdowns.
We will see. I mean, he's got all the weapons in the world, so that won't be the excuse there. But I do expect Green Bay to be a decent team this year. And that turns it over to my number 13, which is Justin Fields. What do you think about Justin Fields here? Does that surprise
It,
you?
it blows my mind that you're higher on Justin Fields than I am. I have Justin Fields as my quarterback 16, so he's just outside my top 15.
I beat you at something.
So it's a little weird because I think there's a good chance he starts for the entire season. Part of me thinks if the Jets struggle, maybe they'll put somebody else out there, or maybe Fields will get hurt at some point. I don't know, but
Tyrod.
Tyrod is surprisingly a good backup, especially for the type of quarterback that Fields is. They're pretty schematically similar in a lot of regards. I like Fields a lot, and I think while he's playing maybe a per game basis, I think he fits your ranking. For a season long basis, though, probably closer to 16, in my opinion.
And I couldn't put him as a QB1. I had to put him just outside the QB1 status.
That's fine. I think that's solid. Like I said, there's like 10, 12 quarterbacks I think are roughly interchangeable after the top six.
All right, who do you have at 13?
At 13, I have Caleb Williams, the Chicago quarterback. I think they'll be throwing a lot because I'm not really sure about their actual run game. And I think even Swift is going to have a significant amount of receiving stats and maybe not a significant amount of rushing stats. Um, he has a decent enough talent. He's got three wide receivers to throw to. He's got two tight ends to throw to, a receiving running back, a very good offensive coordinator that became their head coach. I would expect a bump from him. I don't see much difference between him and CJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield. To me, those three are interchangeable. I just have him marginally better than those two. Um, Thoughts on Caleb Williams here?
So he's my 17th quarterback, so it's not crazy at all. But I could see how you would like him more than Jordan Love. But that division is going to be very competitive, and it's going to require Caleb Williams to take a step forward this year
Yeah.
and stay out of his own way.
I think famously or infamously, I had him as like what my quarterback 4 or 5 last year in the my rookie rankings, my prospect rankings, maybe. So it's more about the weapons. The weapons there in Chicago are way better than anything that's in Green Bay, in my opinion. Maybe you can argue Jacobs is better than Swift, which I think would be a reasonable argument to make. But receiving options, the top 5 options in Chicago beats anything in Green Bay, in my opinion.
Right. Who is your number 12?
My number 12, I think I'm a hair lower on this guy than most fantasy people out there. Bo Nix is my number 12 quarterback. That's primarily because I don't like any of the wide receivers in this group. They got an upgraded tight end, which I like. Their running backs may or may not be better than it was last year. But wide receivers, it's still to me just Sutton and a bunch of nobodies. They drafted a couple wide receivers or brought in a couple wide receivers. I don't really like anyone that they picked. We'll see if they do anything. It's really just Sutton, a tight end, and a couple running backs, in my opinion. So I don't like the upside here. You're counting on him being accurate again. You're counting on him getting rushing stats. I don't know if he will or not based on what he did last year and what they have now. So it's hard
Wow.
for me to get super excited about him.
I have Knicks coming up a little while later, so I don't want to give too many spoilers, but you are right. I think you are lower than consensus. I do like that they acquired a tight end. I like that they've appeared to have upgraded at running back. I do like J.K. Dobbins as long as he's healthy. I do like. I don't like that they didn't get another wide receiver for Knicks. But, we'll see if Franklin and Vele and all that. We'll see if any of them can take a step forward to be the number two opposite Sutton for short term and for long term. All right, my number 12 is Brock Purdy. He just edged into my quarterback ones here. Thoughts on Brock Purdy before I hop to number 11?
You're not gonna like where I have him. I have him higher than this.
Okay. You're banking on him being a someone that can pull people along and someone that wasn't pulled along all these years. So
Fantasy stats is completely different than NFL stats. So, uh,
absolutely. But the NFL stats do translate to fantasy stats.
yes.
Um, but my number 11 here is Kyler Murray. And it's mostly for his rushing ability. And then also he has Harrison and Bryant. Not Bryant, McBride, sorry. I was thinking of Pat Bryant when we were talking about Bo Nix. And he also has Michael Wilson and I don't even recall who their third receiver is right now off the top of my head. But
Yeah, he has Marvin Harrison Jr.
isn't it Greg Dortch or something like that? Does he still have Dortch? Yeah, he still has Dortch. And Zay Jones. Thoughts on Kyler Murray here in at number 11?
I think that's a reasonable spot for him, especially since I have him at my number 11.
You're copying me again.
I I think he's a better fantasy quarterback than NFL quarterback because he can't
For
really
sure.
throw the deep ball and he can't really throw down the sideline that much. But he's very good short and intermediary quarterback. He's much better out of structure than in structure. So that benefits slot guys and tight ends more so than like a typical X wide receiver. So, I mean, solid quarterback one for sure. Just not a high end one, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I do love me some Kyler Murray as a back end quarterback, one and or a backup quarterback. All right, who is your number 10?
All right. My number 10 is Mr. Dak Prescott, Mr. Dakota Prescott. He was on path to being quarterback seven before he got hurt last year, and that was with only CeeDee Lamb as being the bona fide wide receiver there. They brought in Pickens. I think Tolbert is still an underrated wide receiver, though he may never get the stats I hoped for. Ferguson is a top 10 to 12 tight end himself, so he now has three and a half legitimate options to throw the ball to. The running back situation is terrible. It did not get better, in my opinion, this offseason. So I would think that they're going to have to pass a lot. He could exceed quarterback 10. I can see that potentially happening, although he doesn't have the rushing upside that a lot of these guys do.
Totally hear
This
that.
this will be probably the best year to take Dak, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he might be there a while. He is currently my quarterback 20. So he's not
Whoa.
even in my top bit there. So I think quarterback's going to be interesting this year. I think you could get your guy late if it's not one of the top 6 guys.
And like I say multiple times, if you're repeat listeners, is I in redrafts typically don't take a quarterback until round nine. Tight end, I kind of fluctuate. Sometimes I take one higher, sometimes I take them late. But quarterback, I feel like there's always a quarterback that exceeds expectations that goes in like the 10th round that performs better than a lot of guys taken in the upper middle rounds.
No, absolutely. And I think you got to let the draft come to you, though, regardless of position. But Alex, I will hop over to my number 10, and it shouldn't surprise you, but it's Justin Herbert. How do you feel about Justin Herbert?
I feel like It's a weird year where I'm higher on guys that you like than you are.
Oh, I like that. So I'll let you break him down when we get to him on your list here. My number 9 is Jared Goff. What's your thoughts on Jared Goff at number 9?
I have Jared Goff at number 21, so I'm a little surprised that you have him that high. I thought you
He's your
didn't like
boy.
him. He lost his OC and you're higher on him. But it doesn't make any sense to me. Can you explain
Ben
why you
Johnson.
have him at number 9?
Ben Johnson's overrated.
You hate Ben Johnson ever since he spurned Carolina. Like
You
that was
always
the
go
moment.
back to that.
That was the moment you flipped on him, and then you pretend like it was him calling Washington and turning that job down, but it's really because he didn't sign with Carolina.
How you revise history though, because I was very satisfied who we got with head coach that year because Frank Reich was the reason why I became a Panthers fan. And I was happy that we had hired him because it felt like a homecoming. But yeah, let's revise history that I was mad that we didn't get Ben Johnson.
No, I'm pretty sure. No, I'm pretty sure Frank Wright got fired, and then you were trying to hire Ben Johnson, and you struck out on Ben Johnson, and you hired Dave Canales, and then you backtracked, and all of a sudden you were happy with Dave Canales after you struck out on Ben Johnson.
I don't think we had a shot at Ben Johnson the second year with Canales. That was the year with Reich because Washington was the team that got spurred the year that we hired Canales, and then they ended up hiring Dan Quinn, and they were off to the races. So it looks like a good job that he missed out on now.
I don't
That's
know.
what
We'll
I
see.
always say, though. That's what I always say. You don't know what job's good until you actually take it and turn it around. So Dan Quinn did that.
Well, their receivers don't look like a good receiver room, whereas Chicago has all the weapons. So if Chicago doesn't do well on the offensive side, then you can definitely throw shade at Ben Johnson, I think.
And if they do the same as Washington does, that's a strike against Ben Johnson too because the cupboards are bare in one place and full in the other.
Yeah.
So he's got to exceed what Washington did. So we'll see if Caleb Williams can live up to that. But who is your number 9? Dang, Goff that late.
My number 9 is Mr. Brock Purdy. I I think that the 49ers will bounce back from last year, especially since the way that they finished, they're going to play easier opponents on the schedule. So I think Brock Purdy will be fine. I think a lot of the receiving options will be fine, especially Christian McCaffrey back. I think a lot of that is going to be him dumping the ball off to him as well.
Yeah. So we're relatively close here. Um, so yeah, I have no qualms there. What did Purdy finish last year? 14. He missed a few games, so he does have that recurring elbow injury, which is something to just keep an eye on for this year. I'm not worried right now, but that's the second time that he's had the UCL elbow numbness issue. So yeah. All right. Who is your number 8?
My number 8 is Mr. Justin Herbert.
Oh,
They got Conklin as a tight end and they drafted Trey Harris. I think they improved at 2 positions this offseason. I think also they improved at running back, in my opinion, with both Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton.
and they did really good last year for Harbaugh's first year.
Yeah. But I expect them
So
to improve and compete with Kansas City to potentially win the division. And that,
absolutely
as I say offline, I think Trey Harris is a better version of Rasheed Rice. So
better.
better and clean. So I think he has a good chance to thrive there for dynasty purposes. And I think since he's signed, he's one of the second rounders that's already signed now. I think he will be the wide receiver 2 out the gate this season. I know you like Quentin Johnston, but I despise Quentin Johnston. Yeah.
I love Quentin Johnston, but he's going to be missing Mike Williams. I mean, that was a big loss this week. So, and I'm half kidding because he didn't have him last year. either. All right. My number 8 is Baker Mayfield, so I am 7 spots higher on Baker than you are. Be very comfortable with him as my starting quarterback this year.
Well, like I said, there's not much difference between 7 and 18, in my opinion, at quarterback.
Absolutely. And so we can hop into my number 7. We're starting to get into the more elite folks here, and that's where I have Bo Nix this year. So I think he's creeping into that elite territory. But you have him at 12, so I'm 5 spots ahead of you. But we both have him as a quarterback 1 this year. So I love that Evan Ingram pickup. That is going to be huge across the middle of the field. He didn't have that last year.
I mean, I like Bo Nix. I just hate the wide receiver group that he's working with.
Yeah, I mean, but he runs. He's that surprising running quarterback.
Yes, we'll see. We'll see how it
Yeah,
shapes out.
yeah. So who is your number 7?
My number 7 is Mr. Patrick Mahomes.
Knew it.
I just can't be that high on him or this offense. They've struggled to really put up stats the last couple seasons. And now Rasheed Rice is probably going to miss 4 games. We don't know how the rest of it's going to shake out. Kelsey's getting old. Pacheco's coming back from injury. And
What
now that
changed
I
from
have him,
last year? You just
now
listed
that I,
everything they dealt with last year.
well, how did he finish last year? Yeah. So mildly better than last year because I think the group is better. I think they'll pick up their
Jalen
stride,
Broyles.
but I just can't get super high on Patrick Mahomes. I know people view him in real life as the number one quarterback in the league.
Maybe the
That
greatest of all time.
he may be dropping from that list though soon if he doesn't turn things around. So I just kind of split the difference. I think he's a little bit better than last year, but maybe he'll surprise us and go on a tear and put up 5,000 yards. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not giving you too much slack because Patrick's coming up for me very, very early. And we're at your number 6, which you told me offline that this was going to be the shocker of the draft.
Do you have
And
any
I was
guesses?
looking at the I do have a guess. I was looking at the list of quarterbacks, and based on who you've already crossed out and all of that, I know it's not going to be Shador Sanders, but it probably should be. But I'm going to go with Drake May for you here.
It is Drake May. I have him as my number 6 quarterback. As you
I got
know,
a profile on you.
he was my number one quarterback in the rookie draft last year. And through the draft process, he's my number one quarterback prospect last year. I think he's in a better situation this year. Definitely a better head coach than Gerard Mayo, and got at least a couple better options there on the offense with him and an improved offensive line. Second year going in the league, he has a really good rushing profile. He reminds me a lot of Josh Allen as well. So I am going super high on Drake May. They're going to be in negative game scripts probably several times, and maybe Vrabel keeps them in close, tough games, which means it's heavy reliance on Drake May as well. So give me some Drake May this year. He's going between quarterback 12 and 16 in most people's rankings. So I will gladly wait on him and snatch him up in I think what ninth, 10th round in most redraft leagues.
He's 16 for me, but the way you described him there, it sounded like a drug. You just want to get high on May, and you just want May.
May I have some more Drake, please?
There you go. The rapper or the quarterback. Sorry, bad joke. Number
Oh,
number 6. Number 6 for me is Patrick Mahomes, who's your number 7. Completely agree with you on all the fronts. Think that he finds the regular season very boring. Um, but he has finished 8-1 and 11 the last 3 years. So it's really hard to discount him too much because he has not had Tyreek Hill in all those seasons. But yeah, I that's where I kind of have Patrick Mahomes going this year, and he's kind of in a tier with Knicks and this next guy for me. So we're kind of roughly in the same point bracket tier. But I'll just hop over to my number 5, and that is Joe Burrow. Alex, what do you think about Joe Burrow as my number 5 quarterback?
I like it a lot, especially since I have Joe Burrow at my number five as well. I think this is where we'll probably have a lot of similarities at the top. He could
Yes,
put up
sir.
5,000 yards this year. Not much of a runner, so he's kind of an oddball in the top because he doesn't provide rushing upside really at all. But he has the potential to throw 5,000 yards in a game, especially with a team that has their two best defensive players unsigned, both the rookie that they took and their current best pass rusher as well. So they likely will be playing catch up or trying to outscore the other team by a lot in order to win. Let's not forget they have Jamar Chase and other people's favorites in Higgins as well. Not too big on Higgins myself, but I acknowledge he's the number two on a team with Joe Burrow at quarterback.
You acknowledge him. Got it. He was in your top
Mhm.
24 receivers, higher than me, I think.
He has Joe Burrow throwing him the ball. I'm not big on his individual talent per se. Compared, there's a lot of wide receivers this year I like, so it's really hard to put them in order on real talent wise. But playing with Joe Burrow makes the difference.
Absolutely. All right. So, who's your number 4?
My number four is Jaden Daniels. I have him down on stats from the previous year, but he still ends up finishing fourth in my projections here. I am a little nervous with him. I'm always nervous that he's going to get hurt because he's so skinny. I'm also nervous that McLaren sits out, holds out, and Jaden Daniels' best option to throw the ball to is Debo Samuel, which is not going to be deep balls. It's not going to be big plays like that. It's going to be across the middle. So we won't be getting 70-yard touchdown bombs to a wide receiver. That takes a lot of the upside out, in my opinion. Makes the defense play closer, which means he may not get the rushing yards that we're accustomed to as well. So he may fall lower than this spot, in my opinion. Jeff, what do you think of my number four, and who do you have here?
So, I really like your number 4, mostly because that is also my number 4. Um, and for all the same reasons, I really like him. I did give him a slight bump this year. I'm verifying that I gave him a slight bump. Yeah, I usually give year 2 guys. Yeah, I gave him about a 5% bump from last year. So I assumed that he would learn the system better, have another number 2 receiver, and we'll see. Obviously, a lot hinges on Terry McLaurin as well. All right, so my number 3 is Jalen Hurts, Mister Tush Push, and could be the last season for the Tush Push. We'll see if we'll talk about this again next off season. But as of right now, Jalen Hurts is the man here at number 3 for me. Thoughts there, and who's your 3?
He's the same for me here. And then I'm going to make a leap and guess that your number two and number one probably will be the same as me. But my number two here is Lamar Jackson. There's not much
Yep,
difference between Lamar Jackson and my number one player, but I'll,
there's a
I'll let you.
20-point difference for me.
I think I have, it looks like 16, but it's like one, two, three, and then it's like drop from there.
Yeah. So I have Josh Allen as my number 1, and Lamar Jackson as my number 2. I have Josh Allen at 402.68 points. I have Lamar Jackson at 386.28 points. So 16 points difference there as well. And let me just see what the scoring is. So, because I know you were looking at me a little weird there. The scoring I have is 4 points for a passing touchdown and -2 for an interception. That's the big difference there. .4. So a point per 25 passing yards. So what do you and then I actually have Hurts scoring more points than Lamar Jackson. I still would take Lamar Jackson over Hurts, but I have Hurts at 388.60 points. So they're roughly 2 points away from each other. And I have Jaden Daniels at 371.44 points. So that's kind of my top tier right there, those four quarterbacks.
As high as you have Josh Allen in points.
I thought you were
But
going to say as high as I am, but I'm not. Very,
but
very
I
sober.
also but I also have Josh Allen at number one, which I think most people do. So our top five, I think, is exactly the same, which makes sense based off of who's there. I have a big deviation at number six with Drake May.
Yeah, I like it though.
You have Jared Goff higher than most people, I think, at nine. So
He finished
got some
sixth last year.
so we've got some interesting guys thrown in there. I think compared to what most people have.
I almost put Aaron
Hmm.
Rodgers in my top 15. I'm just
Oh
kidding. Just kidding.
my gosh.
Anthony Richardson. I love how Anthony Richardson is just falling out of top 15s now.
Well, he may start maybe a fourth of the games for the Colts this season. I'm so disappointed with him. He has all the physical ability in the world, but just not there mentally, whether it's his personal drive or whether he is just weak internally. I don't know what the issue is with him, but very disappointing. I don't think Daniel Jones is that much better. If people think he's better, I don't think he's that much better. He's about the same, just in a different way.
Yeah, he
Uh,
might be more mentally there.
yeah, doesn't have the same physical traits. But anyway, that looks like it does it for this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you for downloading and listening to this episode. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy and with our handle at N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Everybody.